Thank you very much for staying on. Welcome back to the Marketplace. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has stressed the need for government to invest in the accessibility and security of data as the country aspires to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals targets by the year 2030. Speaking at a Data Roadmap Forum, the Vice President emphasized the importance of data acquisition to the development of every nation, especially developing ones like Ghana.
Ghana is making significant inroads to harness data revolution for sustainable development as part of achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), of which data is key. Ghana is ready to roll out plans to successfully achieve these goals by 2030. Speaking at the Ghana Data Roadmap Forum in Accra, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia stressed the importance of government to invest in data acquisition to promote national development. He emphasized the need for any progressive government to secure flow of data to all stakeholders.
Indeed, apart from data production, stakeholders represented here today will play key roles in encouraging use of data, in creating policy legislation and regulation that facilitate data sharing, providing expertise in the use of new technologies and types of data, and in supporting through resource allocation or in other ways the entire data ecosystem. Alongside our international counterparts who have come to share their expertise with us, we will use the next 2 days to achieve the following. We will identify opportunities to align national development priorities and the SDGs. We'll identify key data and technology gaps and potential new methods, sources of data and technologies to address them. Understand the data ecosystem in Ghana and foster the creation of sector-specific and cross-cutting data communities. Will identify key issues on funding, resources, and capacity.
Speaking with Joy Business on the feasibility for achieving its goals, Deputy Government Statistician Mr. Ban Wadie said although it is feasible, it will demand significant investments and hard work from all stakeholders.
What has been done is that about a third of all these indicators are produced from our normal censuses and surveys. But the bulk is from the administrative sources, working documents in the offices of various MDAs. And these are a big chunk of information that we can work on. They can refine their procedures, and then we will engage them on how best to produce them. So much of it can be produced. Apart from that, it is not only Ghana Statistical Service who can produce all. We have, like I mentioned, several MDAs who have the administrative sources. We also have some civil society organizations who are already in that area for some of the indicators, particularly governance. We also have a lot of geospatial information being produced that we can tap in and enrich the sources that we have.
Moving on, the World Bank has urged government to step up efforts in investing in key areas of the economy. These include the agric and services sectors to maintain the country's middle-income status. These investments, when successful, will make Ghana one of the best-performing economies in the West African sub-region. In a speech read on behalf of the World Bank Country Director, Henry Kerari, he praised Ghana for doing well in many areas so far, but noted there is more room for improvement. This was at the 3rd School of Social Sciences International Conference held in Accra.
Ghana has been widely recognized for its policy on climate change and working towards functioning institutions to manage climate risk and disasters. In the transition to becoming a middle-income country, Ghana needs to step up its efforts to invest in resilient growth and disaster preparedness, starting with a better understanding of hazards, fully functioning hydrometeorological services, and relevant early warning mechanisms for planning and for community participation. Still, challenges in coordination across all levels of government and across jurisdictions will hamper the ability to strengthen urban resilience. Sustainability extends beyond managing climate and weather risk. It also means managing Ghana's many natural resources better. Strengthening coordination among environment and natural resource management institutions is needed to improve efficiency and translate national development plans into focused actions. Ghana has lost half of its forest cover since 2000. There is an urgent need to protect standing forest, improve the governance of forest, and engage local communities in that process, and address pressures from agricultural expansion and mining. I think mining has been particularly a relevant topic in the recent days.
Now, new transport fares, which were announced early this week, finally took effect this morning, attracting lots of displeasure from patrons of public transport systems. Some passengers on board commercial vehicles in Accra are obviously not happy with the new increment in lorry fares. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba, who has been to some transport terminals, and has this report now.
Much talked about increase in transportation fares takes effect from today. What is happening here at the Circle Terminal is much akin to the cash and carry system. Drivers and mates are taking monies before commuters get on board. It really feels hot here in this Trotro. It is some few hours after the increment in transport fares by 15% took effect.
Oh, actually, I'm not comfortable with, but it's like I don't have nothing to say because it has already been increased. So if I voice out, I don't know whether they are going to take it serious or I don't know. But I think the government needs to help us because he promised to take the role of the citizen into consideration. But now, what is going on? It looks as if it's like he's not helping us. So we want to tell the government he has the power to, tell the DPL to do something about it. Exactly.
Well, somebody would say that for you particular, if you have to do a round trip, that it means you're paying an additional 40 pesos, right? In 20 pesos, out 20 pesos, making 40 pesos. For those going a long distance, that's like 1 cedi from Circle to Kaswa. That's like 1 cedi for a round trip. 40 pesos. Somebody would say it's really insignificant.
Yeah. I really understand that, but it's like if you deduct that 40 pesos from maybe let's say one cedi, it's like the rest is coins. Like you can't do anything with that. So whenever you have maybe 10 cedis and you change, and at the end of the day they will give you a coins, and it's like the money is finished. So I think it's not good.
Let me find out from Jarrell. He's a student of Accra Academy. Jarrell, now you're paying 20 pesos additional money. Would that have any toll on your, on your finances?
No.
Are you really concerned about what is happening around you?
Yeah, but I'm not surprised because in the Bible it said that things will rather go worse. So I think human government cannot solve all our problems.
So you think the government cannot solve all our problems?
Yes, that's what I think.
It's too much. Because if it's 15%, it shouldn't be 50 pesos. If it's 15%, it shouldn't be 50 pesos. It should be, I think, 30 pesos and something. But the drivers are taking 50 pesos. If it's 50 pesos, it's too much.
How much were you paying previously?
It's like it was 20 pesos. And now it's 70 pesos. It means the increment is 50 pesos. And if it's so, I think it seems it's too much.
So, tell me, do you think it would have any impact, any toll? Would you take any toll on your finances?
Of course, yes, because I'm spending maybe 10 cedis, 10 cedis, 50 pesos in and out. Now I'm going to take maybe 15 cedis because I take 3 cars to my house. You see now, that's the problem. So, and it seems from the drivers actually, because for me, if it's 15%, it's not 50 pesos. Calculate yourself and see. If it's 15%, it means it's not 50 pesos. But they are taking 50 pesos out of. You see, if it's 320 plus 3 something now, it means 50 pesos. Okay. And that is too much.
So you say you bought 3 cars before you get to your work?
Yes.
From where to where?
Yes.
From where to where?
From here to Kaswa Junction.
That's 3 cedis, 20 pesos?
Yes. From there to Akwale Junction, and from there to my house. It's a new site.
Okay.
And there to I take car.
So previously you were spending like how much in total?
In total, at first, 11 cedis, 40 pesos.
Okay. But now you're going to pay how much?
If it's 50 pesos, increase, it means 3 cedis in addition.
So that's like 15 cedis.
Yes.
Obviously, these passengers not happy with the increase, 15% increase in lorry fares as announced recently. Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry has described the increase in transport fares as unfortunate, but is downplaying any negative impact on the economy. Commercial transport operators increased the fares by 15%, citing surge in cost of operations since last year. But the ministry has maintained that looking at the recent reduction in petroleum products and taxes, it was their expectation that fares wouldn't have gone up by such margin. There are fears the adjustments in fares could also erode marginal gains made in stabilizing the economy, but the Deputy Minister of Finance, Kweku Boateng, disagrees.
When the increments were announced, I personally did indicate that government ought to engage with transport owners and get to the bottom of this. Some engagements have happened since then, and the case the transport owners are making is that for 2 years they have not increased fares, even though we have seen increase in some of their inputs, the cost of their inputs, fuel and others in the past 2 years. They have not increased fares. So they had planned this much before even the 2017 budget statement was approved. Now, and therefore they had to increase that. I still wish they hadn't done that, I wish they had taken note of the good things that have come in this budget and perhaps absorb some of the costs they have incurred in the past, hoping that in the new environment they will make gains. But they have. What we also have to recognize is that fuel prices have gone down marginally. If you look at fuel consumption, the consumption by industry is big. The consumption by big machinery that moves goods, heavy goods around, is big. Those ones have not been increased by 15%. The cost of haulage, for instance, in the mining sector, has not increased because fuel prices are down. The increments we are seeing is largely in the public transport sector, the trotros and the taxis. There are many of our citizens who patronize the services of these public means of transport. So any increment in that is worrying. But we have to recognize that there are other parts of the economy that consume far larger quantities of fuel and that have benefited from the fuel price drops, however marginal it was, so that the overall impact of the increase in transportation fares, regrettable though it is not as bad as many people would think.
And that was the Deputy Finance Minister, Kweku Boateng. Away from that, players in the local printing industry are happy with government's policy to allow them to print all of government textbooks locally. President Akufo-Addo has re-emphasized giving such contracts to local printers to improve the fortunes of their industry and to create more jobs. To facilitate their work, government also announced the scrapping of the special import levy on raw materials used to print local textbooks. Now, Charles Aite is currently at the offices of the Ghana Paper Printers and Converters Association to find out to what extent are these local printers happy with these initiatives. Good afternoon, Charles.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel. And as you rightly stated, the president has, made this very assurance to this very industry in the wake of he assuming office. this very year, January 7th. And I do have here with me the national president of the Ghana National Printers and Paper Converters Association to help us understand what exactly is it about the printing industry that they would wish government to tackle beyond this very promise. And he's in the person of Apia Berko. Thank you very much, sir, and welcome to the Marketplace on Joy Business. President Akufo-Addo has made this assurance to your outfit. The production of books and textbooks, for that matter, locally. What do you have to say about this?
What do I say about that? Obviously, it's good news, and it's the best news we ever have expected and have heard in the year. We are more than poised to prove any cynic wrong. We believe that is the best news for an industry. It's going to be a push-up for everyone in the industry, and job creation and contributing to the economy and making sure that the print sector is also recognized as one of the major financial contributors to our economy. It is good news.
Absolutely, it is good news. You rightly stated that. So there comes the promise, but of course, there are going to be various challenges and expectations from your industry. How poised are you to make this dream come true?
Prior to the coming of the new president, most of our printers and the industry has been gearing itself up to print books, textbooks and exercise books in this country. And various advocacy initiatives and various industry strives had made it possible for a number of players, and we have a whole gamut of stakeholders from the suppliers through the actual value addition in manufacturing, and then distribution, and the human resource. All individuals that make up this value addition chain has been preparing seriously to have the opportunity of proving our ability and capacity to produce textbooks that merit any kind of good description in this country.
All right. Now, the 2017 budget has been read, out of which we do know that specific taxes have been scraped off. Prior to this very interview, you have been sharing your light on the expectations from government with regards to special import levy and the import levy for that matter. Which direction do you wish government takes?
Well, for now, we have heard the news, and it's good news. But we all know that it is always best to have any kind of double assurance, because it's been said, we know that the government will not go back on its word. We believe that it's going to implement this. We expect that as soon as possible, as soon as we are ready and government is ready, it will engage industry to see any other good direction that we all should chart to make sure that books produced in this country are able to meet any stringent international standard. Ghana can also become the book production or book producing hub for the sub-region. We have what it takes. We have the personnel, we have the equipment, and we have the know-how to push this agenda.
All right, so government have given the assurance and you have expressed confidence in that. Is that going to culminate in a reduction in the pricing of your goods and services?
Yes, there is the anticipation. In producing anything, the cost is determined by either reducing cost of inputs or increasing cost of sale. And since cost of production is likely to go down, or the total cost of inputs is going to reduce by virtue of how much taxes we pay, we would be able to increase profit, we will be able to reduce prices, and we'll be able to make a good turn around with our money.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that was Apia Berko, the national president, there giving us updates. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Charles Aite, talking to the president of the Ghana National Paper Printers Converters Association. Now, Ghana is a good place to do photography. More people are entering this space every day, but the market is still has a lot of unexplored areas. That's what brought 3 entrepreneurs with a passion for photography together to form Team 1000 Words. The ambition is to change the African narrative through photography.
Michael Dakwa, Timothy Adai, and Emmanuel Gamo share a common passion, photography. They are co-founders of Team 1000 Words, a rising name in the field of photography in Ghana. The 3 were individually pursuing their passion and did not meet until 2013 when they had to work together on a couple of projects. They thought they could do a whole lot more if they came together to pool their creative abilities, and that's when Team 1000 Words started. The name of their company is derived from the cliche, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Come a bit and then good. Hey, step forward just slightly. Yeah, it was good that we'd had personal journeys. We were actually in good position because we had a bit of equipment. So in coming together, we were able to start the company with quite enough or substantial equipment at the beginning, and then we were really strategic with what we wanted to achieve.
Team 1000 Words broke into the market through wedding photography. There was just something different about the pictures they took.
When we started out, we were very heavy in that department. So oftentimes when you look at our social media pages and so on, you'll see a lot of wedding photography. And that was our signature public product.
But soon, the team decided to invest in content generation driven by the desire to tell a positive story about Africa.
A lot of the times in the international world, when people mention Africa, there's a certain concept that they have, certain agendas which are being pushed. Like maybe it's not so developed or there are political issues. Sometimes people imply about Africa. We want to be able to show people what Ghana is really like, what Africa is really like.
But are they making headway?
I think we have, and I'm basing it on the testimony of some of my friends who travel abroad to school, for instance. So I have a friend hit me up sometime. It's like they had to do a presentation in class about Ghana, right? And they wanted to show something different to their classmates. So the first thing they did was to show pictures from our Facebook page and afterwards direct their friends to the Facebook page. And he said the experience was very different for his classmates because they felt they were having an authentic feel.
Just like other businesses in the industry, the co-founders of Team 1000 Words have to grapple with the high cost of equipment and competition from other photographers. With more people using mobile phones, there's been an increase in the number of amateur photographers, making the profession less prestigious. So how do they handle this?
Whatever situation we find ourselves in, we're going to have to create great work. And so because of that, I think the proliferation of mobile devices and everybody having a camera on them is really galvanizing us to produce better work all the time.
All right, so that was the repeat of this week's edition of the Joy Business Van. Make a date again next Wednesday for yet another edition. And that's a wrap for this edition of The Marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Akwati.